All right. We are here with Michigan State coach Mel Tucker, and Mel, you and I had a mutual friend, Trevor Moad. He helped you create the mental architecture for your football program. I helped him write a couple of books.
That's right.
So I got to ask you, in the words of our friend Trevor, how hard was it to stay neutral last year?
It was tough. He had to really practice what we preached at that point, but we were able to do that, and that's how we were able to get through and come out of it. Actually better off. We learn from it, and it's just you go to the facts and you say you try to say it's not good or bad, right or wrong. It just is what it is, and what have I learned, and what's the next step I need to take, and that's what we've done.
You had such success in 2021 where you got some guys out of the transfer portal, most notably Kenneth Walker. Mm-hmm. You revamped again through the portal. Mm-hmm. How much of this team now mm-hmm. is guys that you've been recruiting all along, mm-hmm. and then how much is guys you've picked out of the portal?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys on our team that we recruited out of the high school ranks. We have the majority of the guys that we get in the portal are not one and done players, and Ken Walker left early. He wasn't really
right.
a one and done guy, initially, and so even some of the guys like a Malik Carr, mm-hmm. our starting tight end. He came to us after one season at Purdue, and so this is going on like his third year with us, and so, even some of the portal guys that we recruited, have been with us for a few years, and they understand our culture, they're all bought in, and so with those guys and then the high school guys that we've recruited, some of these guys we recruited since they were sophomores that we have now, I feel like we've got a solid foundation, and everyone is bought in and understands our culture.
That's what I was going to ask is how hard has it been to establish a culture when you got hired February of 2020. Coach Antonio stepped down, I think, right after signing day. Mm-hmm. So you basically get hired 3 weeks before the world stops. And then you got all that, yeah. And then you had success out of the portal, so that and the college football landscape is changing at this time.
Yep.
How hard was it to just have a group of players that you could have for a while mm-hmm. and say, this is what we do, yeah. This is how we do it?
Yeah, it's tough, coming in now to build a team, but it's something that we feel confident that we're able to do. We have a process, and we trust the process. When we acquire players, whether it's through the high school ranks or through the portal, we ask ourselves, is the kid tough? Is he disciplined? Is he selfless? And if he checks those boxes, then we go after him. We try to sign him, and so it makes it easier to establish the culture and get the kids to buy in, because they know coming in the door, if you come to Michigan State, this is what it's going to be about. And so they want that. They can talk to players
yeah.
On the team, and hey, what is it like? What is Coach Tuck like? What are these coaches like? What is it like in the weight room? How do they treat you here? What are the standards? And then if there's something that they want, then they sign up with us, and then we get them in and we indoctrinate them, and the older players, show them the ropes, and then we're able to get them bought into the culture.
How tough is it when you have a guy who's produced for you like Keon Coleman, who comes mm-hmm. to you and says, "Coach, I'm putting my name in the portal"?
Yeah, I mean, I wish them all the best. All of these guys, every single one of them, they have aspirations to do big things, to go to the NFL, and they want to try to get there any way that they can. Mm-hmm. And if a kid feels like the best thing for him to do is to go somewhere else, I'm going to support him 100%. Just like we got guys that come to us, mm-hmm. And like Ken Walker. No one knew who Ken Walker was until he came to us. It was a good move for him,
yeah.
and it worked out. And they don't always work out like that,
yeah.
and it's an inexact science. But nothing surprises me in college football, and with my 10 years in the NFL, I'm used to guys coming and going.
Yeah.
And some guys, sometimes even in the NFL, some guys leave that you don't necessarily want to leave. Sometimes you get guys you don't necessarily want to get.
I was going to say that's
in
the
kind
NFL,
of part
the
of
GM
it.
may say, hey, listen, we need somebody in another position this week, so this guy's not going to be here. We may re-sign him in 2 weeks. Had to get dressed up to go to Big Ten Media Days, but I'm sitting here dreaming about my Slick Rickies and my Fart Garfunkels. What are those? Those are my Bird Dog shorts. That's what I'm getting into right when I get out of here. living my most efficient life. If you have not tried Bird Dogs, what are you waiting for? Built-in liner with the shorts. You're not even washing or buying underwear. You are just living in comfort in a garment that feels as if it was made for every nook and cranny of your body. Bird Dogs is wonderful. They've got khakis, and now they've even got polos. So that comfort that you feel down below, you can feel up above as well. Go to birddogs.com/Andy. Use the promo code Andy, and you get a free tech hat with your first order. So if you're tired of living an inefficient life, if you're tired of shopping for underwear, washing underwear, you don't need to do it. Shorts, khakis, now polos, and a free tech hat. If you go to birddogs.com/Andy, use the promo code Andy. It'll change your life. You'll be efficient, and you will be comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to really stay neutral because, you gotta play with the cards that you're dealt with, that are dealt to you, and that's what we do. That's what we do.
So, your quarterback Noah, how much did he develop? And it seemed like into spring that he was looking toward being the guy, and then obviously Peyton transfers.
Yeah. Well, we had open competition in the spring, and he really started to come alive. Last season, he was doing a really good job in camp, and then when he got in the games, he did a nice job. I mean, and so in this past spring, he picked up where he left off, along with Caden Hauser. All three of those guys are competing for the job, and he's just gotten better and better and better. He's been with us for a while. He knows the offense. He knows what we expect out of that position, and he embraces the competition, which is critically important.
So what needs to happen defensively? I know you've talked about the health. Obviously, that was an issue last year.
Yeah.
Can depth help that?
It's critical. I mean, we starting up front, and we need to have a strong rotation in our front on our defensive line. We went out and got 3 6'5", 300+ defensive tackles that can help in our rotation to go along with Derek Harmon and Simeon Barrow and Maverick Hansen and those guys. We got 6 or 7 guys that we can roll there. We signed 4 defensive ends. One of those guys is from Texas A&M, Tamisha Adelaide. That was 280 coming in the door, a big end that is really a mismatch on the edge in the run game. And
he got stuck behind some 5-stars at Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean, and he was one of the top players in the country coming out himself. And so, then we got our linebackers back. Cal Holiday is back. Brule decided to come back. Jacoby Winmond decided he was going to come back, and so that's gonna help our defense. That's going to help our secondary. We added Terry Roberts, who's played in the Big Ten, Samara Melvin, who's played in the Big Ten, Amarion Smith, who's played a lot of football at Cincinnati, played at a high level, along with the young guys. We signed 6 or 7 defensive backs the year before. They were freshmen last year, and a lot of those guys they had to play because of injuries, and they got the training. So, we have a lot of guys who have played some football and with a mix of older guys and younger guys that I think is going to allow us to get the job done this year.
You came in wanting to be competitive with everybody in this league in terms of recruiting and getting those guys on your campus. You have gotten some of those guys on your campus. You haven't been able to land them all. How do you sell at this point and get those guys on campus, and then instead of they come on campus and then they end up signing elsewhere, how do they sign with you? Yeah,
well, we're starting to get them. We signed 9 4-stars in the last class, and some top guys in the portal. We're strong in the NIL space. The more that players come to Michigan State, the more they take a look, the more they really dig in, and they really get to know our coaches and the existing players. they can really see it. They can really feel the connection. They can feel the vision. And we're opening a new facility. We have a $67 million facility of expansion and renovation that was much needed, which will put us in the top 3 or 4 in the Big Ten, which is huge. We were at a severe recruiting disadvantage, and we're not recruiting off of renderings anymore. We're moving into the new locker room on Wednesday.
That's hard when you have to show the drawing, right?
Yeah, it's hard. We got to show the drawing, and we're moving into the new locker room next week, and so we're able to take the recruits through, to put a hard hat on them and walk them through, and they can actually see it. When you get here, this will be the facility that you'll be in. We'll be able to compete at the highest level with anybody.
Are they
going
to have those chairs that turn into beds?
The
lockers. Those are crazy.
I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. We haven't done anything that's crazy and not functional. But I can tell you this: we don't have to take a backseat to anyone when it comes to our locker room.
We had a wooden stool. I was talking to one of my old teammates the other day, and he's like, "I took the stool home with me. I've kept the stool."
Yeah.
But yeah, now you can just live there. I don't know why any of these players ever leave.
Yeah, I tell you what, and that's why we're really looking forward to getting into our locker room, because with the construction, our team has been displaced. Our locker room, that they use every day, we moved it to the stadium, so it was a game day locker room. They had to take a bus to back and forth, and
not practical in practice. And
and they didn't hang out there like they normally did. Those guys will stay there an hour or 2 hours after practice hanging out.
Right.
And so now that they're getting their locker room back, that's really going to help with our team chemistry, because that's their home.
Yeah.
And that's where they hang out.
Yeah, you don't want it to be a bunch of guys who just come, clock in, and go their separate ways.
That's
you want
right.
them to be together a lot.
Yeah, and it's the beauty of the locker room, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where all your guys are, and that's where they hang out, and that's where they connect, and then we're gonna have a new players lounge and all that. That's all a part of it, and so we're moving in the right direction. We're getting a lot of top-level players that are coming and interested in Michigan State. We're starting to get those commitments from those guys, and it's only going to get better.
So you were head coach of Colorado before you came to Michigan State. Did Deion Sanders call you and ask for any advice when he took
No. Deion, Prime doesn't need any advice from me. But I got to know Prime a little bit when I recruited Louis Sean out of his high school in Texas.
Yeah.
Louis Sean is a great player.
At Georgia, absolutely.
Yeah, I signed him at Georgia, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for Prime. He's got his own process. He knows what he wants to do. He knows what type of players that he needs to get the job done. He's got a lot of connections coast to coast. He can get players. He sells himself, but he's an excellent football coach. It's not just all sizzle. I mean, there's a lot of substance there.
So you mentioned he knows what he wants. You know what you want
Yep.
player. I mean, I look at what Kirby's doing at Georgia.
Yeah.
You work with him.
Yep.
You work with Nick Saban. You worked with Jim Tressel
Yeah.
and that group at Ohio State, where they kind of knew exactly
Mm-hmm.
body type wise, position wise. How hard is it to find some of those guys? Like the D lineman you just mentioned, the guy you got from Texas A&M. How many of those people are just walking around?
It's really hard to find big defensive linemen, and everyone wants them. So it's really tough. And if they're not in your state, you got to go out of the state to get them. Then that makes it even tougher. And so that's one of the challenges that we have. And so we recruit, coast to coast. We've got kids on our team from California, Arizona, Colorado, Oregon. We got guys from Florida, Georgia, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts. I mean, everywhere. We're going everywhere. North Carolina, Virginia, wherever we got to go to get guys. We're going to get them because we know what type of players we need, and you don't want to make exceptions, because if you make exceptions, you'll have a team full of exceptions. We got to get the guys that have the size, the power, the speed, those things that you need to be able to compete against the best teams.
You got a bunch of them here, so
that's right.
Good luck.
Thank you so much. Go Green.